his job is to just beat him, because if he doesn't beat himself, he doesn't win. A better C-Bum this year will win again. A not better C-Bum this year will not win again. What is up? It's your boy John Ashrivi of BB Promos and Tell Like It Is. Welcome back to the episode of the podcast Uncut. Today, guys, we're going to talk about React Respond to Chris Bumstead's video. It was basically Olympia prep back workout. The last part of his video, he opens up about where he is mentally, where he's at in his competitive career mentally. Again, even say spiritual, whatever it is. But we're gonna go into that and just talk about it, because I've had a lot of people ask me, just in my own growth in my life, what are some pivotal moments in your life? What are some things that you've learned the most, the things that have made the most impact? And I think the take-home message from this video is knowing when enough is enough. And I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned in my life to, keep progressing where I'm at right now, was knowing when to you move on. You got to move on from certain things, whether it's I don't know, it could be a work environment or a group of friends or a relationship or, the next step of your life in growth. I think a lot of times we get so caught up in, what we're doing that we sacrifice some of the things that, can be that much better by just, knowing when to give something up. And not necessarily give it up, more so than just breaking away from it. That's necessary. So that was a take-home message, and I kind of made some notes to kind of respond to this. And what are some some good examples through his story of when you can kind of feel enough is enough. So let's watch this.
All right, so I wanted to wrap up this first episode, I guess you can call it, of the prep series with kind of a little update of where my head's been at this year and kind of finding the motivation and drive to keep repetitively chasing after the same goal on a different level and kind of beating myself year after year. And it's something that
I want you guys to listen to that one more time really quick. And that's one of my first points I'm going to make, is just listen to this.
All right, so I wanted to wrap up this first episode, I guess you can call it, of the prep series with kind of a little update of where my head's been at this year and kind of finding the motivation and drive to keep repetitively chasing after the same goal on a different level and kind of beating myself year after year. And it's something that I know I'm going to come to a point in my career.
So my obvious first point to this is if you're already thinking about it, it's not when you look at, have I been over obsessing about something, or you don't know if you're making the right decision about a certain thing. Here's some little tips or ways you can know that the decisions you're making are off in the direction of being positive or a good decision. When you're thinking about it all the time, and not necessarily obsessing about it, but if you're thinking about it, it means you're weighing the pros and cons. You're thinking about all things, and when you think about those things like that, you're thinking about those things without emotions. So when you're thinking about something in a logical sense of moving forward, is it worth my time doing this again? Is it worth it for me to put my body through XYZ? Is it worth it for me right now? If I'm thinking about that right now, I've had time to think about that without really any emotion. So if you're already thinking about something right now in your life, and you're thinking about that, we're at a time where you're just calm and you're just weighing both sides, you're really, you're laying out the pros and the cons of the decision, you're starting to get to the end of, of that thing that you might need to break through or break away from.
In a year, whenever it is, not in a year, where I'm going to look back at what I did the year prior and be like, holy fuck, can't believe I put myself through that. That was a lot of work. I don't think I can do any better than that. And when that happens, I better brush off my shoulders, throw in the towel, and I hope I trust myself enough to know that that's when it's time to quit. Because I truly believe that if you're not moving forward, then you're dying. You're not gonna be in love and passionate and driven with what you're doing if you're not progressing.
So right there is another great example too. You gotta understand who Chris Bumstead is, okay? Chris Bumstead is, obviously you guys know who he is, you know what I mean? I've known Chris since he started competing. Right around his beginning of his career, we're all from the same country. You guys who competed against, I competed against him actually. I helped with posing back in the day. So I watched, in Canada here, we got a really tight-knit group of bodybuilders. But I've been able to watch guys like Chris Bumstead and Regan Grimes, and especially those two. I've been able to watch them grow within their bodybuilding, competitive career, but then they're also the business side of their life. And a guy like Chris Bumstead, where he is now, it's the only thing he has to do now is beat himself. He is the best at what he does. That thing he has to continue to beat again. Now, for me, being a competitive person, just like he is, I am super competitive. And when it comes to, beating yourself or whatever it is, in that point, it's like, if I'm not making any more progress, like I am not getting any better here, I need to put that effort somewhere else in my life that can use that effort to get better in that position. Because you think about it this right now, where he is, right? Right now, like, he wins the Olympia right now, he's not going to get paid anywhere near as much as he probably gets paid in a month. Like, I'm dead serious. Like, if he gets paid, I don't know how much is that. I think it's around it was like $50,000, $55,000, I think, a year. For winning Mr. Olympia. I think it might be more this year, but regardless, if it's around $50,000, he makes more than that a month, okay? And that's not speculating. That's going off someone's YouTube numbers. Go on Social Blade right now and look it up. He's got 2 million subscribers on YouTube. From YouTube alone, he's banking. He's getting paid way more than the Olympic can ever pay him. And he has his own business. It's like the same type of structure that we all similarly have. We have a media channel like this right here, and then we have some type of a service where whether it be like an actual training service or say like some passive income, could be like apparel, supplement company, ebook, whatever it is. It's something, and that thing kind of feeds back and forth, right? When it comes to that, he's not the best he could be as a businessman. So the effort he's got right now that he's talking about right now is like, is it worth me going? Like, if I'm not progressing, you know what I mean? Like, then there's no point in me doing this anymore. But that's the same thing. It's like, is trying to beat me even worth it at this point? You know what I mean? Like, is it worth me to continue to try and beat me? You know what I mean? And that's where he's at. You just listen to him.
And that's something that I believe that least around for competitive sports and competitive nature, because everyone else is getting better around you, and what kind of drive and passion can you find in just doing the same thing and being the same over and over again? And that's where, when you look at something like winning an Olympia, if I'm just looking at winning the Olympia every year, I'm just doing the same thing year after year. That gets repetitive, that gets old. But beating myself every single year is not the same thing. If I'm getting better every year, it takes more to beat myself every single year. It doesn't matter what second place, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 16th, what any of them are doing or what any of them look like, because they're not winning. I won last year, and I know what it takes to win, and I know what it takes to beat that motherfucker who won last year. So as long as I still believe in myself that I can beat that guy, which I know in my absolute heart right now that I know I can beat that guy, then I have all the drive and all the motivation, passion, whatever you want to.
See, the big thing about that too is you gotta understand that, he is like, his job is to just beat him, because if he doesn't beat himself, he doesn't win. A better C-bum this year will win again. A not better C-bum this year will not win again. You know what I mean? But like chasing, and that makes a lot of sense to him. Obviously, like, my goal is to beat that guy. I know what it takes to beat that guy because he's beating that guy every single time. He's not beating Breon from last year or Ruffin Diesel, or he's not beating those guys. He's got to beat him. He already won. He's set the standard, right? So when you're at a point in your life where you've reached a limit in something, like you are not growing, because I believe completely that we are forever evolving, and we're always forever evolving into something better than our former selves in whatever capacity that is. And if that's not your goal in life, or if you're in a place in your life where consciously that you want to continue to progress, and you're like, this thing is holding me back, that's like an easy indication, like, yo, time to pack it up. We got to move forward. So we like see those signs, man. Like, those are clear indications. Those are clear signs. Break free from that shit.
Put a little word on that for. I know I have all that to kind of reach a better version of myself. And when the time comes, it'll come. But today is not that day. And I've definitely, like I spoke about kind of in that trailer we spoke about on my definition of winning, how it's changed over the years, how it isn't just about trophies, monies, and all that stuff. It's really about the intrinsic growth I have within myself as well as my physique. I know that this sport currently is still making me a better person. It's caused me to look a lot inwardly and see what drives me, what's important to me, where to put my focus, like how to have discipline, all these different things that it's making myself better. But I've also found that it's making a lot around me better.
And that's a good thing too, is to look at it. It's like not just looking at reasons of why you should be going or moving forward, but also like if you should be staying. Right? Like, so in this video here, we're looking at him basically like talking. This is him like being very open about himself, opening up about how he actually feels inside. And this is like his inner dialogue coming out and saying exactly how he feels. He's coming to the end of his bodybuilding career and he's really contemplating like, okay, is this year worth it? And if I'm still progressing, then I continue to go. If I'm, still getting better, if this thing right here is still making me better, it's still you making me evolve into the person that you're going to become, whatever it is, then you continue. So it's good to see that as well too, right? But then it says obviously for the opposite, right? It's got to continue to be adding to your life and bringing joy to your life. So if this thing that you're doing is starting to like, it doesn't get you out of bed anymore, right? Or it's actually starting to affect your life in a negative way. It's taking away from other parts of your life. It's interfering and invading and not a positive way. It's different if it's making those other parts of your life better and more positive for everybody and yourself. That's one thing, but it's doing the opposite. That's what you got to really think like, I think it's time to go because this is affecting my relationships or my work or my sleep or my whatever, my overall peace, right?
As I reflect on all this stuff, because I do a lot of reflecting, then that still motivates me, that still excites me, that still drives me to do what I'm doing. So, long answer short, my motivation is still there, and people fucking hate using that word motivation, and I hate using it sometimes too, but it's whatever definition you want to put behind it. My drive, my purpose, my passion still lies right now.
See, and that's something too, is like understanding that as well. Does it still motivate you? Because in the end, that is what motivation is. Yes, there is intrinsic motivation, and that's what you have to bring to the table, but there are those other things that are out there that do give you a little bit of a boost to your why. Why do I still, why is C-Bum still competing? Well, it's contributing to himself, his family, and his community. He said it right there. But if it's not, and it's taking away from those things, along with the things that I just said as well too, that's the time you have to change. You have to move on and make sure that you're doing the right thing and making the right decision to continue to progress and move forward, as hard as that decision might end up being. And there's a quote that I heard, or saying, I might be saying this wrong, but it went like this. I'm pretty sure my cousin said it. Alexander Michael Gittins, check him out. But he said basically, the pains of changing is painful. Like changing is painful, but nowhere near as painful as staying the same. Think of that, right? No one to say enough's enough. Again, if it's not bringing to your life, your family, or your community, it's a clear indication that you should probably stop. I know you guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. I'm coming with a tug. It is transparent, vulnerable truth. And for coaching, johnasheed.com, guys, if you want to know more about my coaching, book yourself a 50 or 30-minute consult. At the end of that consult, I deduct it off any package that you pick. Also, guys, hit the description below for those discount codes or promo codes that will help save a life or change life for the better. Like Johnny10 for 10% off. Blue Star Nutraceuticals, right here, guys. Use my code Johnny10 for 10% off. BlueStarNutraceuticals.com. And remember, guys, I'm on Instagram and TikTok. Send me your podcast pics, your training pics, and your video clips, and I'll repost it for you, because you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron. Progressive overload your life. In the meantime, keep dream chasing. Peace.